Hey, how you doing, everybody? Sarasota Tim, coming to you from Sarasota, Florida. I am 66 years old, gonna be, well, I'm 65, gonna be, no. How old am I? Gosh, I can't believe it. I'm gonna be 67 years old. I am 66. Oh my gosh. Wow. All right, even more of a fact of why I'm making this video. All right, I made some videos. I got a whole playlist, if you want to check it out on my channel, talking about Social Security. I was going to become 62, eligible for Social Security, right about the time, just before the pandemic. And I was looking forward to it. There was nobody had to twist my arm and tell me to get a free check every month, when I could, versus waiting another year or even 5 years or 8 years, some people wait, past the eligibility age limit of 62. Some people wait all the way to 70 years old. And before we begin the video, I just want you to know that I've always stated in my videos that if you're going to collect Social Security, you should, in my opinion, collect it at the very first day you can get it. And the only reason, and one reason only, you shouldn't get your Social Security at any earlier age than 67 would be if you're making so much money and you love your job that you just want to keep on doing what you're doing. Because there is an earnings limit when you collect Social Security for a while. But what a lot of people don't realize, and maybe why they postpone collecting their Social Security, is they don't realize the special rules. There's several special rules regarding your income when you're going to collect Social Security. At some point, you get to an age, like I'm going to be this year, to where income is no longer limited. There is no rules any longer. Well, did you know that there's not much of a rule? There is a rule, but it's not a strict rule on the year you start at 62. And did you know that the year that you become full retirement age, which is generally 67 today, if you're born in 1960 or after, prior to that, it was like 66 and 2 months all the way up to 66 and 10 months. I'm 66 and 8 months. So in August of this year, I am officially full retirement age, meaning I can earn after that month as much money as I want, and it doesn't jeopardize my Social Security. Because they do, I don't know why, they limit anybody to make any money. It's based on 40 work credits or your 35 best years. Generally, if you've worked 10 years and paid into Social Security, you are definitely eligible for a Social Security check. And at 62 years old, most people, unless you were just a real low earner all your life, most people get somewhere around $1,500. I got $1,700 when I started out. I'm collecting $1,800 now because of the big giant raises that we get every year, like 2%. But it works out to about $20 because then they raise the Medicare. Once you start taking Medicare at 65, then that cost goes up. So anyway, it's really not much to speak of. In 40 years of collecting Social Security, most people have never seen anything bigger than we got about 3-4 years ago. The average Social Security check went up like $150. Right after I started collecting, the pandemic came and they did what they call the COLA adjustment, which stands for cost of living adjustment. It went up 8.7%, I think it was, and I got $150 more every month for the rest of my life. I was stoked about it. But don't get me wrong. If they tell me next year, we're only going to give you $20 more, but it's every month and for the rest of your life, or till next year when we might give you more, I'll take it. I'll definitely take it. And so will you. So what's the big deal about waiting? Why should you? What are these special rules? Tell me some more information so that I can make a decision. Well, first, like I said, unless you're making so much money and you love your job, there's no reason not to collect your Social Security at 62, quit the workforce, and start living a free life. I've never regretted. I only wish I could have been freer sooner. And I believe they should give us our Social Security at 55, or yeah, 55, because you've already lived way beyond half your lifespan. Because if you double 55, that's 110. How many 110-year-olds do you know walking around? I say none. Okay, and even those that are 80 or 85 are really just, some are Jack LaLanne, some can outrun me and I'm sure there's some, but not the majority. The majority of people, once they get into their 70s, they're really slowing down. I'm going to be 67, and I've slowed down from 62, and I try to stay in shape. I let myself get out of shape. I'm in a progress right now of getting back into better shape so that I can deal with those 70s when they come. And that's a video for another day. I make plenty of videos talking about yo-yo dieting, but I'm in pretty good shape. I'm a work in progress. So collecting it at 62 means that 3 months before you become 62 years old, you're eligible to contact the Social Security Administration either online or by phone, and you can sign up to get you a free check. I call it a free check. It's your money. It's money you paid in based on your best 35 earning years. And like I said, it's going to be between $1,500 and $2,000 a month. If you were a pretty good earner, you're going to be up there. If you were a low earner, you're going to be down there. If you are a real low earner, I mean, it could be, pretty darn low. But most people get about the average, about $1,500 or so. And when you think about it, you're like, well, that doesn't even pay rent today. You're right. Even a few years ago when rents were like $1,000 a month, for a nice little place, what was $1,500 going to do for you? Well, I'll tell you what it was going to do for you. This is what I thought about when I was going to get my Social Security. I wasn't going to stop working. I was going to stop working 40 hours a week. I mean, I never worked 40 hours a week in my life, but most people do. I worked for myself most of my life, and it was very lucrative. But most people, they work for an employer, and they got to go 40 plus hours a week to make their paycheck. And so you're making 30, 40, 50, 60 grand a year is what most people make. The vast majority of people do not make over 50 grand a year. We have, I think the average income is $35,000, $40,000 per person. You divide up every person in America. And I think the average median income per household with two incomes is like 70 grand. 75 maybe. But what is that? 28% tax bracket, and you take the money out, and what do you got left for two people? For rent and everything else. And you're going to work every day. You're feeding a car tank. You're buying lunches, dry cleaning, and everything else that goes along with when you get this job and they pay you, you turn around and pay them to go there. Your cost of transportation, your attire, everything you've got to do to eat, lunch money, all that costs you, not to mention the taxes you pay, out of your income. So if you were to get a free check, which is what I call Social Security, your money, and it was around $1,500, $1,800 a month, like I get, and you do have an income limit. Well, let's talk about those limits. Did you know that the year that you become 62, you can make all the money you want up until your birth date. From your birth date and you start getting that check, which you actually have to be 62 and 2 months, because you can apply for it 3 months before and you won't get it till 2 months after your 62nd birthday. Why? Well, you got to be 62 and a month to actually be eligible, your first earliest age for Social Security. 62 and 30 days. And then they wait another 30 days to give you your first check. So you get rooked already. You got to wait 2 months after. So when that month comes, you cannot exceed what the earnings limit is. In 2025, for example, The earnings limit for the entire year on top of your Social Security without being penalized is $23,400. That goes up every year. When I started collecting at 62, it was only 21 grand. It's up almost $2,500 in the last 3.5 years or so. So every year that will go up. But the good news is, if your birthday's in the middle of the year, mine's at the end of the year, and you plan on collecting, and remember you sign up 3 months before, and remember you don't get it for 2 months till after, so you can earn all you want the year that you turn 62, and that will not count against you in any way on your Social Security. It's only after you actually start getting a deposit that you cannot earn more than the $23,400 divided by 12, whatever that number is the most you can earn per month. Okay, if you earn any more than that, every $2 you make, Social Security wants $1 back. But not to worry, because a couple of things. One, that first year, you could be in a job making that 50 grand a year, and the day you start taking your Social Security, you made that money that year, and now as you go through the age of being 63 the next year, you've only got to watch it from 63 to 64, and then every year they give you a higher amount you can earn than 65, and then at 66, remember, or 67 is when you become full retirement age. Guess what happens there? That $23,400 that if you're turning 62 this year in 2025, that's the most you can make if you were to turn 62 in January or something. If you were turning full retirement age this year, like I am, I can earn up until I'm full retirement age this year from the $23,400 that there currently is. Remember how I said it was like $22,000 when I started at 62? It's up to $23,400 for me this year, because I'm going to be full retirement age. I can earn $62,160. So if you take the 5 years from the 62 to the 67 full retirement age, you take 2 of those years out, because 1 year you can really earn a lot of money with no limit until you start getting the check. Then you just got to be careful each month remaining. Then you'll have to be careful when you're 63, 4, 5, and then at 66 that year, and you're going to be 67, you get to make, and right now it's like I just said, 62,160. It might be $65,000 in 5 years from now, or more, who knows? So it's really a short window that you've got to watch. And here's the other special rules. Not only can you make unlimited amount of money without affecting your Social Security the year you start until the day you start getting your check, and then you get that extra bonus like I'm getting this year that I can earn 60, what is it? I keep forgetting, 62,160 plus my Social Security, which is, how much am I making? I'm making like 21 grand a year, free. $21,000 arrives in my bank this year, free. Money I paid in, my Social Security. Plus, I can make $60-something thousand. That's like $80-something thousand. I never made $80,000 in my life. So that's a lot of money. That's more than the average person makes. And even those years between 62 when you start, at 63 through 66, those 3 years, let's say you've been a tradesman all your life and you go to work for yourself. You don't have to work for the employer anymore. You're free. You want to spend more time for you, going to the beach, traveling, riding a bike, reading, planting a garden, seeing your grandkids, whatever you want to do. You can work for yourself, like painting, fixing cars, walking dogs, whatever. When you work for yourself and you're not a W-2 person, you're a 1099 earner, a self-employed person, you can make all you want as long as your adjusted gross income, your AGI, is below the current year right now of 23,400. Well, I know a lot of people that make like 40, 50 grand and their adjusted gross income is like 15 grand after the deductions they have as a self-employed person. You can become quite creative as a self-employed individual with things that are deductible. Me as a YouTuber, literally everything I do, there's a deduction for. Literally. Because this is what I do. And the same thing can happen for a plumber, a guy that works on cars, a painter, a handyman. You know, your mileage, your vehicle, your tools, your uniform, your phone, your anything that you're spending money on to make money, to do a business, is a business expense. You just have to have the right accountant. But anyway, if you go to work part-time for Walmart as a greeter or a stocker at Aldi or, you know, whatever like that, then yes, you just have to make sure that you don't exceed $23,400 until the year you're going to become full retirement age. And then the month, if you turn full retirement age like me in August, September, it wouldn't matter what I earn. I'm off the books then as far as not taxes, but penalizing me from the Social Security. Also, forgot to mention this. I said earlier, if you exceed the 23.4 while you're getting Social Security for those few years, and you know, it goes up every year too. So you say it's never changed, 23.4. That's the most you can make. If you make $23,402, they want $1 back. But on the year you become full retirement age, like me this year, and I can make that, what is it, $62,160, I got to make $62,163 before they take $1 back. So in other words, I can make $3 before they want $1. Prior to that, I can make only $2 over and they want $1 back. So not to collect Social Security at 62 for any reason, like you want to stay working at a job, you want to still making about the same amount of money. Just think, if you quit your job and you started working part-time, you might make 20-something thousand dollars or whatever less per year because you only went to work, when you quit, you went to work part-time or you work for yourself. Well, don't forget that 20-something thousand dollars that you lost by quitting and paying to go to that job, what it costs to go to work, you're getting back in the bank on an automatic deposit from the government your money. So it washes it out. I mean, think about it. If you make $21,000 and change on Social Security, like I do every year, and you make basically equivalent to that before you're penalized, and this year I can make 60-something thousand. But let's say it was last year. That's $40-something thousand. And did you know that when you take the standard deduction, which I think is like $18,000 off of your income as a single person, it's more if you filed married, your income tax bracket is down to where you really don't owe anything or much. So when you consider the difference in the taxes that you pay by making a lot more money, when you consider you wasting your life going to some job and then you end up dying and you never were free, when you consider what it costs to go to that job, what are you netting more? Waiting for that weekend to have some freedom, or that one, or maybe you get 2 weeks a year vacation because you've been there a long time to enjoy your life? Or wouldn't you rather just say, cash in the chips, I'm out of here, I'm going to do my own little thing that I enjoy doing, selling stuff at a flea market, flipping things on eBay, Marketplace, fixing people's cars on the side, only doing jobs you want to do, walking dogs, whatever, house sitting, and making a good side hustle amount of money, maybe even a lot of money, but have a deduction because you're self-employed, and getting that free check from the Social Security office, and then you wake up one morning and you go, wait a minute, hit the snooze button. I don't have to be to that job. I don't have to go to that prison job. I can just sleep in. Or tonight, oh, there's a show on late, but I don't want to, mess up my sleep. Stay up all night if you want. You're your free own person to do what you want to do. You know, it's Tuesday. You want to go off somewhere? You don't have to wait till the weekend. You're free. It is such a great life. To be honest with you, I was just talking about it. That's what prompted me to make this video. I was just telling someone yesterday, would you want to go back to work? And this is work, what I do, but I enjoy it. This is what I want to do. But the jobs that I had all my life, that I had to do to pay bills, maybe like some of you watching that are much younger than 62 and you're still working, you know, would I want to go back to work? Hell to the no. No way. Only if it's something I wanted to do. I don't care what they were paying. Well, that isn't true either. If they were offering me stupid money, maybe I would, but I mean, really, I think about my freedom of what I got. And I think about in hindsight now, because everything's 2020 in hindsight. I see a few health things that I've had come up in the last year that may be exasperating over the next year. I have an issue with my eyesight. You know, maybe I won't be able to drive and travel or do things that I, you know, if I would have waited, still working right now until I was 67 or 70, even crazier. What if you know, look back and you have regrets? What about the people, and this is more important than the money, that you know, family members that passed away before they cashed their first check, or only got it for a couple of checks and then they passed away, or they became so ill, they came down with something, you know, cancer, some of their gizzards started wearing out, their knees, their hips, their whole faculties started changing, their attitude, their enthusiasm, they gained so much weight, they just said, I ain't doing it. I'm not going to travel now. I'm not going to go hike the trails in the Appalachians. I'm not going to go climb and look at the rocks in Moab, Utah at Arches National Park. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to sit in this chair and drink Geritol, because that's what will happen if you're not careful. If you just sit around and you think that tomorrow is always going to be the same and you're going to be healthy and you're going to live forever and you're always going to feel like you do right now at 50 or 40, and you just put off getting your Social Security until you're, you know, 67 years old, and then you get it and your whole body and mind, or you don't even make it. People are dropping like flies today. Look at the food they feed us. Everything's got something in it. It's all poison. That's why I'm trying to get healthy now. Half the things that we eat that they're giving us, they know make us sick. It's a big scam. Do you know that a cured patient, a cured doctor's patient, is a lost customer? I know it's a saying, but it's kind of logical, you know? I mean, if every doctor could see you one time, every chiropractor could see you one time, and you were cured and you didn't have to come back, think about how hard it would be for him to find new customers. They got to keep you coming in. They got to keep the visits going. I understand this, and I do it. I fall for it. I mean, it seems like I have to a degree, but it's because of what they're feeding us and the food that we eat. We got to be smarter. We got to be smarter about when we collect our Social Security. We got to be smarter about our health. We got to be smarter how we treat people. And everything in life and the universe gives you back what you put into it. You know, we reap what we sow. So if you get out of debt, you pay down your debt, you get down to where you owe no credit cards, no car payments, no streaming services, you're going to have your built-ins that you can't get away from in your life. Rent, taxes, gasoline, food, car insurance, whether it's paid for or not. You know, and that's enough. And you get you a little side hustle. I mean, I'm making almost $4,000 a month easily with my Social Security and what I make on a side hustle. And so can you. And you know what? If you're self-employed, you might be making $6,000 a month. But you're still going to be under any penalty because you have a deduction you can do, like I do with YouTube. So, folks, to wait, and what do you get by waiting? You get $500 more. Some people will argue that and say it's $600 or $700. I've heard some people tell me $1,000, and it's not. It is not $1,000 more. It is like $500, $600, whatever it is, between 62 and 67. It's 700, 750 would be the moon. What is that versus the $1,500 or $1,800 a month you're going to lose for 5 years before you collect that first check that's $500, $600, $700 more money? You know how long you got to live, and you know what quality of life you'll be living before you do exceed what you left on the table for 5 years not collecting. Now let's talk about the bigger elephant in the room. Do you know what you're going to leave that you'll never get back? Your youth, your age, your looks, your mind, your health. It could go up. You could look younger at 70 than you do at 50. Stranger things have happened. I mean, this is not for, the exception. This is for the masses of us out there. And then with the talk about it becoming insolvent, or the tumultuous world we live in, wars and craziness going on, why would anybody think they would want to, I look back at the days, and I'm going to digress here. I look back at the days of me growing up, of how I much prefer those days, of how people were, simpler things were, even without the advantage of some of the technologies we have. Life was just purely a lot more simple, and people were loving. People are the majority of the people in the world. I'm not saying the majority of people are mean people, but there's a lot of craziness that we hear about because they want to just keep talking about it, on the media, on our phones, on the TV, on our tablets, everywhere we turn. Everybody walks around, that's all they do is this. I remember the day there was nothing you could even hold. There was nothing before pagers. Don't forget, folks, that your life is a one and done. It's a one contract. There are no do-overs. Hey, by the way, there is a do-over in Social Security. If you do take it at 62 and you say, no, I don't love that job so much and I'm not making so much money that I'm not going to collect my Social Security. But what if you start collecting it and someone called you and said, you're going to love this job so much and you're going to make so much money, you'd be crazy to collect your Social Security. Guess what? The first year at 62, you get a do-over. You can cancel all the way up until 1 year to the date. You can call Social Security and say, do-over. You owe the money back that they've given you. I don't think you actually have to send them a check. I think that when you start, either the next year or 2 years later or whenever it is you get through with that contract of that person that called you and said, we're going to pay you so much money, you're not going to want to take that Social Security. And you're going to love this job. I think that they just basically, when the day you say, I'm back on, turn me back on, they're going to say, all right, well, we already gave you 6 payments, and then you changed your mind. Remember that? So you're going to have to wait 6 months, and that's fine, because you got that money, So that is another rule too. You do get a do-over. So don't hesitate that you've signed and there's no chance to back out. You got a whole year, not 3 days or 3 months or 6 months. You've got a whole year to change your mind. So see how it goes for you. I mean, maybe that side hustle, maybe you're going to go be a job as a greeter at Walmart. And then somebody walks in one day and says, you know what? I like the way you talk to people. I like what you offer, this and that. How about coming to work doing this and you become an independent contractor? Or you think of something, or you read about something. You watch a YouTube video and you discover a way to make some money where you can quit the job at Walmart working 15 hours a week. That was fine. Just standing there. Welcome to Walmart. But you find something and then you go, you know what? Or someone hires you, I should say, because that's when you'd want to maybe do the do-over. Somebody says, hey man, we want to give you $250,000 a year to do nothing. You're going to love it. It's not going to happen, right? But you get that opportunity. That window is there for you if you change your mind. But don't change your mind on giving an employer your best weeks, your best years and months of your life to them, to make them money, to go in there, open their doors, take care of their customers. Yes, they're lucky to have you. But I mean, you're giving them Think about the hours a week that people get up in the morning before they put their 40 in. They got to get up a couple hours before, takes them 2 hours to get home, pick up the kids, do the laundry, cook some dinner. It's a 12-hour day. You get a little sleep, you wake up, and it's like Groundhog Day, back at the grind again. And you do this over and over and over for years. Then you get to 62, and you've already a dozen years past your halfway point of your life or more. And you say, oh no, I'm going to keep doing this. And I'm just going to let that free check that they offered me, I'm just going to ignore that 20-something thousand dollars a year, that $100,000 or more for the next 5 years that I could have had in my pocket. Plus I can still make money. And I could have made a lot of money that first year, and I can make a lot of money on the year that I'm going to become full retirement age. So when you average those two in for the 5 years that you decide to get it at 62 versus waiting, that dollar cost average over those whole 5 years make it even more of a reason that you should be living your life free, living it for you. What you need to be doing is crushing it